My name is Ava Carter, and I am 35 years old. Before I tell you how my secret wedding video broke the internet, I need you to picture one moment. One sharp, painful moment that still feels like someone pressed a cold finger against my heart. It happened on a warm Saturday morning. I was sitting on my small balcony, sipping iced tea, when my mom called. Her voice shook a little, the way it does when she's trying to sound brave. "Ava, your brother's wedding is today." I blinked. "Wedding? Today? Mom, what do you mean?" There was silence on the phone, then a heavy breath. "They didn't tell you," she whispered. "Your brother and the others. They said you would make it awkward for everyone." My whole body froze, like I had turned into a statue. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I didn't ask why me. I just looked out at the street below and said the only thing I could think of. "I understand. I know better." And hours later, while my whole family smiled at a sandy beach in Florida, wearing matching outfits and taking joyful pictures without me, I sat alone on my couch. I thought the story ended there. But 3 months later, the unexpected happened. I woke up to 42 missed calls. My phone was shaking with notifications. My name was trending online. And the words everyone was talking about were, "Secret wedding video. Who is this mystery bride?" My heart raced. My hands shook. Because the video the world was watching was mine. My own private wedding, one nobody knew about, was suddenly viral. And that, right there, was the moment everything changed. But how did I get from being the girl left out of her own brother's beach wedding to the woman whose secret celebration shook the internet? Well, before I take you into that storm, let me step back. Let me introduce myself properly. Because every story has a beginning, even the ones built on broken hearts and surprising miracles. Where are you watching from? Drop your country or city. I love seeing how far stories can travel. Now let's start from the beginning. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, the middle child of 3. My older brother Daniel was the golden boy. Perfect grades, perfect smile, perfect everything. If sunshine were a person, it would be him. My younger sister Madison was the wild one, always laughing, always shining, always ready to run toward fun. I wasn't sunshine or a spark of fire. I was quiet, soft-spoken. The one who sat at the back of the room and listened. The one teachers told my parents was sweet, but too gentle. The one my family often forgot to wait for when we took family pictures. Growing up, I used to think my softness was a weakness. But now, at 35, I know softness is strength. Softness is kindness. Softness is empathy. Softness is the reason I survived being left out of things that should have included me. I learned early that being kind doesn't guarantee people will be kind back. But kindness means you walk through life with clean hands, no matter how many people try to stain them. Let me introduce the rest of the cast in this story. Mom, Linda Carter. Warm voice, tired eyes, stuck between loyalty and guilt. She loves all her kids, even when she doesn't always understand us. Dad, Robert Carter. Practical, quiet, the type of man who believes feelings should be stored in drawers like winter coats. He loves us, but not always in ways we can feel. Daniel, my older brother. Charming, confident, everyone's favorite person. He doesn't try to hurt me. He just forgets to include me. Madison, my younger sister. Loud, funny, beautiful. She's the kind of person who makes a room brighter, even when she forgets who helped her get ready. Emily, Daniel's fiancée, and later wife. A sweet girl on the outside, but her eyes had a sharpness I never quite understood. These were the main characters long before the world watched my secret wedding. Now let me take you into the story, step by step, starting with the moment everything truly began. 3 months before the viral video, before the calls, before my name trended online, I was simply Ava, trying to live a life that felt small but peaceful. It was early spring in Boston. The snow had just melted, and the first signs of cherry blossoms were blooming. I had a job at a small community library. Nothing fancy, but I loved it. I ran kids' reading programs, organized book drives, and listened to people talk about their days. One Wednesday afternoon, I was sorting books when my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a group chat. Carter family. Opened it. Daniel. Wedding plans almost done. So excited. Mom, we can't wait. It's going to be perfect at the beach. Madison. I already bought a blue dress. My heart softened. Smiled. I typed a simple message. Eva sounds great. Can't wait to hear all about it. 3 dots appeared, meaning someone was typing. Then nothing. The dots disappeared. Conversation continued, but without me. I told myself not to think too deeply about it. Families forget things. Families get busy. Families don't always mean to hurt you. Still, something tugged inside me. Quiet whisper. Why does it always feel like you're watching life through a window instead of being inside the room? But life kept going. At the library I had people who appreciated me. People like Mr. Benson, a retired history teacher who came to read the newspapers every morning. Sophie, a shy little girl who always asked me to read the same fairy tale. And then, there was Ethan. The man whose existence my family didn't even know about yet. I met him on a rainy afternoon. He walked into the library, dripping wet, smelling like fresh rain and warm coffee. He had a quiet smile, the kind that made you feel safe. He wasn't loud like Daniel or wild like Madison. He was calm, gentle, patient, like me. Talk. Then talked again the next day. And again the next week. Soon talking to Ethan felt like breathing, easy and natural. But no one in my family knew. Not because I was hiding him, but because no one asked. And I didn't want to force myself into conversations where I wasn't welcome. Still, I didn't mind. Ethan saw me. Really saw me. He noticed the things my family never paid attention to. The way I hummed while organizing books, the way my eyes lit up when talking about helping kids read, the way I loved quietly. For the first time in a long time I felt valued. But then, the beach wedding happened. And everything inside me shifted. The day my mom told me they left me out, I sat alone on my couch for hours. No tears. No anger. Just a deep, silent ache. People always imagine betrayal feels loud. But sometimes it feels like an empty room. That night, Ethan came over with soup and a blanket. He sat beside me, holding my hand without asking questions. I told him everything. How my family forgot me, how they thought I would make things awkward. How I wasn't even worth a simple text. He listened. Then he said quietly, Ava, sometimes the people who should love you the loudest love you the quietest, and sometimes too quiet to hear. His words broke something inside me. But they also healed something. And that night, as he held me, I made a decision. Small decision. Quiet one. One that no one would know about until much later. I decided to build a life where I didn't need to fight to be seen. And that choice is what led to everything that happened 3 months later. Now let's move into the next part of the chapter, the softer moment that followed the pain. The week after the wedding, Mom visited me. She didn't say much. She brought leftover cupcakes from the reception, as if cupcakes could fill the empty seat they left behind. She cried quietly in my living room. Hugged her. I forgave her. Not because she asked, but because forgiveness is more for the heart that carries the hurt than the one that caused it. Life settled again. Ethan and I grew closer. And while my family posted wedding photos on social media, smiling under the sun, I lived my small, peaceful life. But life never stays calm for long. And just when things were finally steady, the extreme event hit. It was a Monday morning when Ethan showed up at the library with shaking hands, a pale face, and a tiny blue velvet box. Not a normal box. Ring box. The moment he opened it, the world around me blurred. Everything was about to change. And not just for me, but for everyone who thought I would always remain invisible. When Ethan walked into the library that Monday morning, his hands were shaking so hard I thought he'd been in an accident. His face was pale, his breath unsteady, and in his right hand, he held a tiny blue velvet box. Ring box. But this wasn't a proposal. At least, not the kind anyone would expect. And that was the moment, the extreme event that chapter 1 ended on. Now let's continue. He didn't kneel. He didn't smile. He didn't say, "Will you marry me?" He just stood there with fear in his eyes. "Ava," he whispered. "We need to talk. It's important." The box stayed in his hand, unopened. My heart knocked against my chest. "Are you okay? Did something happen?" He swallowed hard. "Can we go somewhere private?" He nodded. I told my coworker I'd be back soon, grabbed my coat and followed him outside. The morning air was cool, carrying the smell of wet pavement. We walked to a bench under a maple tree. Ethan sat down slowly, like his legs were tired. I sat beside him. He didn't open the box. Instead, he looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before, fear mixed with protectiveness. "Ava, before I show you what's inside this box, you need to understand something." I held my breath, waiting. He took my hands gently. "I'm not leaving you. I'm not breaking up with you. Nothing like that." Some of the fear in my chest loosened. "But what's inside might change our plans." "Our plans?" I blinked. "Ethan, what plans?" He shut his eyes for a moment, gathering courage. "Let me show you." Slowly, so slowly I could hear every click. He opened the velvet box. Inside wasn't a ring. Inside was a tiny silver USB drive, shaped like a key. I stared at it, confused. "What is this?" Ethan exhaled shakily. "Something someone sent me. Something about us. Something your family needs to see one day." My stomach tightened. "What do you mean, my family?" He didn't answer right away. He just lifted the USB drive carefully, like it was fragile. "This," he whispered, "is going to change everything. But before I tell you what's on it, I want to hear how you're doing after everything that happened with your brother's wedding." His voice softened, and suddenly the fear in his eyes made sense. He was worried about hurting me. Again. He didn't want to pile pain on top of pain. I looked away, staring at the slow-moving cars across the street. "It still stings," I admitted. "Sometimes I lie awake and think about it. How they smiled on that beach. How they stood together like a perfect family photo, without me." A bird flew overhead. I followed it with my eyes. "I keep wondering why it's so easy for them to forget me." Ethan squeezed my hands. "Ava, you're unforgettable." I gave a small smile. "Not to them." He looked down at the USB again. "Which is why I need to show you something. Something that explains more than you think." I turned my eyes toward him again. "Explain what?" Ethan shook his head. "Not here. Not now. You're not ready. You've been hurt enough. We'll watch it when the moment is right." Then he tucked the USB drive back into the velvet box and closed it gently. I didn't know it then, but that tiny silver key would be the beginning of everything that would later go viral. But that's for another chapter. For now, let me take you back a little, into the softer part of the story, the less extreme moment that followed. The next day at the library felt calm, peaceful, ordinary. Kids came in for story hour. Mr. Benson argued with the newspaper. Sophie asked me to read her favorite fairy tale again. For a moment life felt normal. But in the back of my mind I kept seeing that velvet box. That USB. That fear in Ethan's eyes. I didn't push him. Ethan wasn't the type to hide things to hurt me. If anything, he hid things to protect me. And after the wedding situation, I understood that kind of fear. People protect what they love. But life, as always, wasn't done testing me. One evening, a week after the beach wedding incident, I got a message from my mom. "Mom, dinner at our house next Sunday. Everyone is coming. Please be there." Everyone. Including Daniel and Madison. My stomach tightened. I hadn't seen them since the wedding photos flooded social media. I didn't respond right away. I sat on the edge of my couch, staring at the message. I wasn't angry anymore. But I wasn't healed either. Ethan noticed the look on my face. "You okay?" he asked, sitting beside me. I showed him the message. He squeezed my knee gently. "You don't have to go. I know. But if you want to go, I'll go with you." Pause. That meant everything. But I shook my head. "Not yet. I'm not ready." He nodded, understanding completely. So I didn't go. Instead, I stayed home making soup, listening to soft music, and pretending the world was quiet. Later that night, Mom sent another message. Mom, we missed you. Everyone asked about you. Lie. Sweet, soft lie. But I let it be. The world felt calmer for a few days. Focused on work. I helped with community book drives. I held Ethan's hand and felt happy again. Until the next extreme moment hit. And it came faster than anyone expected. Started with a simple phone call. A number I didn't recognize. I ignored it. Then it called again. And again. Finally, Ethan looked at me and said, "Maybe you should answer." So I did. "Hello," said cautiously. "Oz." Then a woman's voice, shaky, almost broken, whispered, "Ava. It's Emily. Daniel's wife." My chest tightened. "Emily. Is everything okay?" No," she whispered. I need to talk to you. Alone. Please." Something happened at the wedding. Something I didn't know about until now. And I think it involves you. My breath stopped. "What do you mean?" Another silence. It's about why you weren't invited." My heart pounded painfully. "Emily, what happened?" She swallowed hard, her voice trembling. "Ava. Found something. Video. Really old video. And when I watched it, I realized." Her voice broke. "You should have been at the wedding. None of this was supposed to happen." My throat tightened. "Emily, what video?" I sniffed. "Please, can we meet? Tonight." Froze. Then she whispered one sentence that made my skin crawl. "It involves your mom, and your brother, and something they hid from you for years." The world around me seemed to tilt. Ethan stepped closer, watching my reaction with concern. "Ava," he whispered. "What's wrong?" I couldn't answer. My tongue felt numb. Emily spoke again, barely audible. "You deserve to know the truth." Then the call ended abruptly. My phone slipped from my hand and landed on the couch cushion. Ethan rushed to me. "Talk to me. What happened? What did she say?" I looked at him, eyes wide, voice shaking. "She wants to meet. Tonight. She says there's a video. Something my family hid from me. Something about why I wasn't invited." Ethan's face darkened. "What kind of video?" I shook my head. "I don't know." He hesitated for a moment. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out the blue velvet box. The same velvet box. He opened it slowly, revealing the USB again. "Ava," he said gently but firmly. "I think the video she's talking about might be the same one on this drive." My heart stopped. "You knew," I whispered. He shook his head. "I didn't know. I only suspected. And I didn't want to show you until you were ready." My chest tightened. "Ethan, what's on it?" He exhaled. "Something about your family. Something someone mailed to me because they thought I should know before we got serious." My stomach twisted. "Serious?" He touched my cheek. "Ava, I've been planning to marry you. But I needed to understand why your family treats you the way they do." My breath trembled. "And this," he whispered, holding up the USB, "explains everything." Silence. Cold, heavy silence. Outside, the streetlights flickered. Car alarm sounded in the distance. Somewhere a door slammed. But inside that small moment, time felt frozen. Tiny drive. A hidden truth. A family secret buried for years. And now, two different people had it. Ethan. And Emily. Ethan closed the velvet box again. His expression serious. "Ava," he said, "we need to watch it." But before he could finish his sentence, my phone lit up again. New message. From an unknown number. Clicked it. It was a video link. From Emily. Sent at that exact moment. My heart dropped into my stomach. Ethan saw the look on my face. "What is it?" I slowly turned the screen toward him. "It's the video," I whispered. Then, without warning, the video autoplayed. A blurry image appeared. A familiar voice spoke. And before either of us could process what we were seeing, someone in the video said, "Don't tell Ava." She can't know. And the screen cut to black. My whole world stopped. The video froze on my phone screen, the words echoing in my ears like a haunting drumbeat. Don't tell Ava. She can't know. Daniel's voice. My older brother. The same brother who left me out of his wedding. The same brother who laughed the loudest in family photos. The same brother who always looked at me like I was fragile glass he didn't want to touch. My breath caught in my chest. Pause it, Ethan whispered, his voice low and tight, as if he himself was bracing for a hurricane. But I couldn't move. I couldn't think. My thumb trembled as the frozen frame of the video stared back at me. Daniel in a room I didn't recognize, back turned, talking to someone off camera. My heart pounded against my ribs. Why would he say that? Why did he sound afraid? And what on earth was this secret they buried? Ethan slowly took the phone from my hand and set it on the coffee table like it was a bomb that could go off at any moment. Ava, breathe, he said gently. But my breaths were sharp, uneven, almost painful. My mind screamed. Why would my own brother hide something from me? What is it that I can't know? Felt dizzy. I leaned back into the couch, gripping the cushion as if the entire room was spinning. Do you want me to play it from the beginning? Ethan asked. I shook my head. I can't. Not yet. The words tasted like fear. Because if Daniel was hiding something big enough for someone to send Ethan a USB about it, then this wasn't just a misunderstanding or family drama. This was a betrayal wrapped in a secret. A secret about money, wealth, inheritance, the kind of things families tear themselves apart over. And suddenly, the beach wedding didn't feel like the real wound. Felt like a symptom. Something much larger, much older, much darker was hiding beneath it. The extreme moment lingered in the air like smoke. But after a while, the fire of panic began to settle into quiet confusion, the less extreme emotion that followed. I stood from the couch and walked to the window, staring at the city lights blinking outside. Boston looked peaceful from the fourth floor. Cars humming softly, neighbors walking dogs, a couple laughing on the sidewalk. Meanwhile, my world felt like it had cracked open. Ethan came to stand beside me. He didn't touch me this time. He just stood close enough for me to feel his warmth. Ava, he said softly, you need to know something. Before that USB ever came, I already suspected your family wasn't telling you everything. I frowned. Why would you think that? He hesitated, then took a deep breath. Remember the first time I came to your parents' house? That Sunday dinner I begged you to let me join. I nodded slowly. The dinner had been awkward. Strange. My dad barely spoke. My mom kept changing the topic every time I said anything personal. And Daniel didn't even look at me. Ethan continued. Your father kept asking about your job, but not in a curious way. More like he was trying to measure something. And your mom was so nervous she dropped her fork twice. I frowned. I thought they were just uncomfortable meeting someone new. No, Ethan said gently. It was more than that. They acted like they were guarding something. Like just having me in the house made them afraid I'd find out. I blinked. Find out what? He looked at me with soft sadness. That's exactly what scared me. They behaved like you were a puzzle piece that didn't fit the picture they built. The words hit me like cold rain. Puzzle piece that didn't fit. That was how I always felt growing up. The child who wasn't loud enough. Not bold enough. Not special enough. Not enough, period. I always told myself it was just my personality. Just who I was. But what if the distance wasn't my imagination? What if the way they treated me, the quiet neglect, the subtle exclusion, wasn't because of who I was but because of what they were trying to hide? I wrapped my arms around myself. Ethan, I don't want to believe my family would hide something serious from me. He placed a hand over mine. Families hide the deepest things, Ava. Especially when money is involved. My chest tightened. You think this is about money? He didn't answer. He didn't need to. 'Cause deep down, felt it too. Something financial. Something big. Something they weren't willing to let me touch. And Daniel's voice. Don't tell Ava, now sounded like guilt, maybe even fear. I swallowed hard. Do you think the USB shows something illegal? Ethan shook his head. Not illegal, but maybe unfair. I turned back to the window. I don't want to hate my family. You don't have to, he whispered. But you deserve the truth. We moved back to the couch. Ethan brought me water and we sat quietly, trying to process everything. The less extreme moments settled into the room. Calm but heavy. I reached for his hand. Ethan, what exactly did the letter say? The one that came with the USB. He bit his bottom lip. You sure you want to know? I nodded slowly. He exhaled deeply and spoke. It said, "This belongs to Ava. Her family will never give it to her. But you will know what to do." My breath caught again. Why would someone send it to you? I whispered. A shrug. No name. No return address. Just your name written on the front. And mine written on the back. So they knew about us, I muttered. Yeah, he said quietly. Someone is watching us. Those words sent a chill down my spine. But the calm didn't last long. Because an hour later, just as I was trying to settle my heartbeat, something happened. Something that shattered the fragile peace in the room. Something that hit harder than the video. Harder than Daniel's voice. Something that would change the story forever. The next extreme event started with a knock. A soft, hesitant knock at my apartment door. Ethan and I turned toward the sound. He stood up first, cautious, protective, his shoulders tensing. Who could that be at this hour? He murmured. I shook my head. I wasn't expecting anyone. The knock came again, louder this time. Ethan walked toward the door. Stay behind me. I nodded, standing beside the couch, gripping the edge. He peered through the peephole. Then he stiffened. Ava, it's your mom. My heart lurched. My mom. He nodded slowly, confusion mixing with worry. She looks terrified. Before I could respond, I heard her voice through the door, shaking, desperate. Ava, please. Open the door. Please. I need to talk to you. It's urgent. Your brother. She choked on her words. My mother never comes to my apartment unannounced, I whispered. Never. Ethan opened the door halfway. Linda Carter stood there in her coat, hair messy, eyes red, lips trembling like she had been crying for hours. Her hands clutched her purse as if it were the only thing holding her together. She looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes I hadn't seen since I was a child. Fear. Ava, she said, her voice breaking. Something happened. My chest tightened. Mom, what happened? She stepped inside, tears spilling down her cheeks. It's Daniel, she whispered. He's missing. The room went silent. Everything inside me froze. Daniel. My brother. The one who betrayed me. The one who left me out. The one whose voice haunted the video. My breath trembled. Mom. What do you mean he's missing? She broke down, collapsing into Ethan's spare chair. We can't find him. No one can. He left early this morning, and the last place his phone pinged was near a bank. A bank? Echoed. She nodded frantically. Yes, the bank. The one where your grandfather left the inheritance paperwork. My legs went numb. Inheritance. Money. Family secrets. The video. The USB. Everything tangled together like one giant knot. Linda grabbed my hands with trembling fingers. Ava, she whispered, I need to ask you something. And I need you to tell me the truth. Her eyes were raw, terrified, desperate. Did you see anything recently? Anything unusual? Anything Daniel wouldn't want you to know? My heart hammered violently. Next to me, Ethan subtly closed his hand around the velvet box in his pocket. My mother's voice cracked as she asked, Ava, did you find out the truth? The room spun. And just as I opened my mouth to answer, just as the truth hovered on my tongue, my phone buzzed loudly on the table. All three of us turned toward it. A new message, from an unknown number. The same unknown number that sent the first video link. Plain text message. Before you watch the video, come to the address I sent. Come alone. If Ethan comes, Daniel won't survive. My entire world stopped cold. Ethan's eyes stayed on mine as he held the iPad, the screen frozen on Daniel's face from the video. My heart beat so fast I could feel it in my throat. Felt like the whole world had stopped breathing. I didn't say a word. Couldn't. My mind was spinning in 1,000 directions at once, and each direction felt worse than the last. Are you ready to hear the rest? Ethan asked softly. I nodded, but my hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from something deeper, something sharper, something old inside me that had been buried for years without my permission. He pressed play. The video continued. Daniel leaned closer to whoever was recording. Look, Mom said, if she finds out the deed still has her name on it, the whole thing falls apart. And the bank account. Ethan already saw it. If she finds out the truth, we're done. And you know what she's like, she'll go digging. My breath left my body. Deed. Bank account. Her name. Name. Ethan paused the video, studying my face, maybe checking if I was still breathing. Ava. The property Daniel is talking about is real. And the bank account too. I didn't want to tell you until I was sure. He swallowed. So I checked. Something hot burned behind my eyes. My hands felt cold and warm at the same time. Checked what? He pulled a thin folder from his backpack, one I had never seen before. He placed it gently on our kitchen table like it was something fragile, something powerful, something dangerous. I went to the county office, he said. Then I went to the bank. Everything Daniel said in that video is true. I stared at the folder. I felt like if I touched it, the world would change forever. But Ethan continued, his voice steady. Ava, your father listed your name, only your name, on a beach property deed. It's been yours since you were 19. My mouth fell open. That was 16 years ago. 16 years. 16 years of being told I was the forgotten child. 16 years of being excluded from parties, gatherings, family photos. 16 years of people pretending I was difficult, dramatic, too emotional. 16 years of hearing lies that sounded like truth because they hurt the right places. But Ethan wasn't done. And the bank account, he said slowly. Your father opened it with $500,000 for you. Over the years, your family accessed it, without your permission. The withdrawals match dates of vacations, business investments, and even parts of Daniel's wedding. My body froze. They used my own money to fund the wedding they didn't invite me to. And then said I'd make it awkward. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at the folder, trying to feel the ground under my feet. But the floor felt far away, like I was standing on clouds that might disappear. For the first time in my life, I understood something painful. My family didn't forget me. They needed me silent. They needed me out of the way. They needed me not to know. And I had played my part too well. I looked at Ethan, who had been beside me in ways I didn't even know a man could be. Why didn't they tell me? I whispered. His eyes softened. Because they knew your father trusted you the most. And they couldn't let that stand. They couldn't let you have something that gave you power, control, independence. They needed you small. I sank into the chair, the room spinning. But why use the property? Why hide everything? He hesitated. Ava, your family has been renting out that beach house for years. They've made more than $1 million from it. A small, sharp sound escaped my throat, almost like a laugh but not happy. $1 million, I repeated, like the words were foreign. Then Ethan said something that broke something open in me. They didn't invite you to the wedding because they were scared you'd realize the house looked familiar. That you'd remember the design. The photos your dad once showed you. That you'd ask questions they couldn't afford to answer. Froze. The beach wedding had been hosted on my property. My chest tightened. I felt something inside me slowly rising. Anger, disbelief, grief, and a strange kind of strength I hadn't felt in decades. A strength that felt old, like it had been there all along, buried but alive. I looked up at Ethan again and he looked terrified. Not of me but for me. "Ava," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." I shook my head. "No," I said quietly. "I'm done being sorry." That was the truth. I was done being the quiet one. The left out one. The easy one. The forgotten one. I had spent my whole life thinking my family didn't see me. But now I understood. They saw me too clearly. That was the problem. And they made sure I never saw myself. Ethan sat beside me, gently taking my hand. "You don't have to face this alone." I squeezed his fingers. "I know that now." For a moment, silence filled the room. Heavy, thick, full of things that couldn't be said yet. But then Ethan opened the folder. And the truth poured out. Copies of the deed with my name in bold. Bank statements showing deposits and withdrawals I never made. Signatures. Addresses. Emails. Rental agreements. All tied to me. It was like watching puzzle pieces fall from the sky, landing in perfect order, building a picture I never wanted but always needed. Picture of betrayal. Picture of truth. A picture of who my family really was. Ethan waited as I flipped through the papers, my hands shaking but steady at the same time. "This is why I didn't want to show you," he said quietly. "Not until you were ready." I looked at him with a small, broken smile. I wasn't ready. And now, I took a slow breath. Now, I'm awake. A low moment settled in the room, the kind of quiet that comes after finding a truth big enough to crack your chest open. Then something strange happened. A new feeling rose inside me. Not fear. Not anger. Not confusion. But clarity. Crystal clear clarity. For the first time in years I could see the road ahead, sharp and bright. I stood up, walked to the window, and looked out at the street glowing with evening lights. "Ethan," I said, my voice steady. "Everything they hid from me. Everything they took from me. Yes. I'm taking it back." He smiled. "I knew you'd say that." I turned toward him, slow and calm. "But I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to beg. I'm going to do something they never expect." He raised an eyebrow. "And what's that?" I smiled, small, quiet, powerful. "I'm going to be smart." The quiet moment felt like strength settling into my bones. But before that strength could fully settle, before I could even take another breath, something slammed hard against our front door. Both of us jumped. Ethan's eyes snapped to the door. "Are you expecting someone?" I shook my head. "No, no one knows we're home." Another slam. Louder. This time followed by a voice. A voice I never wanted to hear outside my house. "Ava, open this door right now. We need to talk." Daniel. My brother. My hands began to shake again, but this time from something hotter, fiercer. Ethan moved protectively in front of me. His body tense. Another bang shook the door. "Ava, I know what you saw. Open this door before you make everything worse." And I froze. Because in that moment, right before Ethan reached for the doorknob, a shadow moved behind the glass. Someone else was with him. Someone bigger. Someone angrier. Someone who whispered something I wasn't meant to hear. "Make sure she doesn't call the bank." My heart stopped. The doorknob twisted. The door began to open. The door swung open, just a crack, and I froze. Daniel's face was pale, sweat dotting his forehead. But behind him, just barely visible in the dim hallway light, was a tall figure I didn't recognize. Broad shoulders, hands shoved into his pockets, and an expression that could stop your heart cold. "Who's that?" I whispered, gripping Ethan's arm. Daniel glanced behind him nervously, eyes darting from me to the shadow. "No one. Just don't move, Ava. Please." Ethan stepped in front of me, blocking the doorway. "Daniel, what is going on? Who is this person?" Daniel ran a hand through his hair, looking panicked. It's nothing you need to worry about. Just listen to me. Ava, the deed, the account, everything you saw, it's more dangerous than you realize. And this person, they shouldn't know you're involved. My heart pounded. Daniel, you've been lying to me my whole life, hiding my property, hiding my money, and now you bring someone mysterious into my house? Who is this? He swallowed hard, glancing at the tall figure. They work for someone who wants to control the assets. The property and the bank account they've been watching for years. This person is their enforcer. Ethan's hand tightened on mine. Enforcer. Daniel, are you saying someone is threatening Ava over money that belongs to her? Daniel nodded, his face pale. Yes. And if they find out you know the full truth, Ava, I don't know what could happen. I felt my stomach drop. Threatened, betrayed, confused, all at the same time. Everything from my childhood, the times my family treated me like I was invisible, suddenly clicked. I wasn't forgotten. I was in the way. I took a shaky breath. Daniel, if this is true, then why the wedding? Why leave me out? He flinched, guilt etched into every line of his face. I thought it would be easier if you weren't there. Mom, Dad, they were worried you'd notice things, ask questions, make waves. I didn't want to hurt you, Ava, but I didn't know how to stop them. I didn't know what to do. A wave of anger rose inside me, hot and sharp. So you hid my own property from me. You used my money to fund your wedding. And now you bring someone here to scare me. Daniel's lips trembled. I didn't bring them, Ava. Swear. I never intended to hurt you. But they're here now. And they're dangerous. The tall figure behind Daniel stepped forward slightly, and I caught a glimpse of their eyes. Cold, hard, calculating. A chill ran down my spine. Ethan stepped closer, his protective stance firm. Okay. Everyone calm down. Let's take this step by step. Daniel, tell us exactly who they are, and then we figure out what we do next. Daniel's voice was shaky but urgent. They work for the same people who've been managing the rentals on the beach property. They've been laundering money, taking profits, moving things around. You weren't supposed to find out. They'll do anything to stop us from exposing it. Ava, that includes you. My head spun. Everything I thought I understood about my family, their smiles, their quiet glances, the way they ignored me, was now part of a larger, dangerous puzzle. I swallowed hard. So you're telling me, all those times I felt left out, all those times I thought I was invisible, it wasn't because I wasn't loved. It was because I was a threat. Daniel nodded. I didn't know how to protect you from it, Ava. I tried to stay quiet to keep you safe. Failed. I'm sorry. Part of me wanted to scream. Another part of me wanted to cry. Another part wanted to punch him right in the face. But then I felt Ethan's hand on my shoulder, grounding me. His presence reminded me. I didn't have to react in fear. I didn't have to be powerless anymore. I looked at Daniel, then at the mysterious figure behind him. My mind raced. We need a plan, Ethan said firmly. We can't just sit here and wait for them to make the next move. Daniel nodded slowly. I know a safe place. It's a storage unit my dad left in his will. Unused, hidden. We can go there. They won't find us immediately. I clenched my fists. Then let's go. But we're not running scared. I'm done being small. Ethan nodded, a proud glint in his eyes. Good. Let's move. We packed up quickly. Phone, laptop, folder with the deeds, bank statements, USB drive. I grabbed my coat, feeling a strange mix of adrenaline and fear. As we stepped out of my apartment, Daniel glanced back nervously. Stay close. Don't let them see us. The shadowy figure followed silently behind him, moving with careful precision. My heart pounded so hard I thought they could hear it from outside. We reached the elevator and pressed the button, the air thick with tension. Do you think they'll try to follow us? I whispered to Ethan. They might, he replied quietly. But we'll be ready. We have the documents, and now we know the truth. That gives us leverage. Daniel's face was pale, worry written across every line. They don't know how much I've already told you. But the more we reveal, the more dangerous it gets. I swallowed. Dangerous or not, I felt alive. I had spent my life feeling powerless, left out, invisible. Not anymore. We reached the street, stepping into the evening air. The city lights blurred around us, but my mind was sharp, alert, ready. Suddenly, movement from a nearby alley caught my eye. A figure ducked into the shadows, watching us. My pulse quickened. "They're already here," Daniel muttered. "They know." Ethan stepped closer to me. "Stay calm. Follow my lead." We moved quickly down the street, ducking into less crowded areas, keeping our heads low. The storage unit Daniel mentioned wasn't far, but every step felt like it could be our last. When we finally arrived, the unit door was cold and metallic under my fingertips. Daniel slid it open, revealing a small, empty space. Bare but safe for the moment. I stepped inside, breathing heavily. Ethan followed, then Daniel. We locked the door behind us. Silence fell, thick and suffocating. I leaned against the wall, letting my body sink into the small safety. My hands trembled slightly as I clutched the folder of documents. "Are we safe here?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "For now," Daniel said. "But they'll come looking. And they'll be clever. They've been doing this a long time." I closed my eyes for a moment, trying to steady myself. I could feel the weight of my family's lies, the stolen inheritance, the deception, and all the years I had been left in the dark. But I could also feel something else. Power. Control. Knowledge. I knew the truth now. And with truth comes choice. "We need a strategy," Ethan said, his voice firm. "We can't just hide. We have to plan how to expose this, how to protect you and your property." Daniel nodded. "I know. I've been thinking about it for weeks, but I couldn't act alone. Now that you know, Ava, you have the right to fight back." I clenched my fists, my heart racing. "Then we fight. We take back what's mine. And we make sure everyone knows the truth." For a few moments, a quiet resolve settled over us. The fear still lingered, but so did a new determination. And then the silence was broken by the sharp buzz of my phone. Froze. Ethan and Daniel looked at me. The screen flashed an unknown number. A text appeared. "We see you. Leave the storage unit or she loses everything and more." My stomach dropped. My hands shook. Daniel's face turned white. "They know exactly where we are." Ethan gripped my shoulder. "This isn't just about money anymore. They're escalating. Fast." Cold, hard reality set in. This wasn't just a secret anymore. This wasn't just about reclaiming what's yours. This was survival. I swallowed hard, the adrenaline surging through my veins. My heart pounded. My mind raced. And then the storage unit door rattled violently, as if someone was trying to break in. My breath caught in my throat. Daniel's eyes widened. Ethan tensed beside me. And in that moment I realized everything was about to change. The rattling at the storage unit door was relentless, each knock and slam like a drumbeat against my chest. My hands trembled as I gripped the folder of documents. The deeds, the bank statements, the proof of everything my family had hidden for years. Ethan's hand found mine, holding it tightly, grounding me. Daniel's face was pale, panic etched into every line. "They'll break it down if we don't act fast," Daniel muttered. Ethan took a deep breath. "We don't wait. We need a plan right now." I swallowed hard, my mind racing. For years I had been quiet. I had been left out, ignored, and dismissed. But this was my moment. I wasn't going to be a victim. I wasn't going to be silent. I was taking back control of my life, my property, and my inheritance. I looked at Daniel. "Tell me everything you know about them. Who are they? How did they get involved?" Daniel hesitated, then spoke rapidly. "They're connected to the people who managed the rentals on your beach property. They've been taking money, laundering it, covering up profits. They know everything about the bank account and the deed. They've been watching for years, making sure no one in the family realized the truth." I felt a cold knot tighten in my stomach. They weren't just after the property. They were after me, my life, everything my father had left in my name. Ethan's hand tightened on mine. Then we expose them first. We document everything. Video, photos, transactions. We make sure the authorities know. We make sure your family can't cover this up anymore. Daniel nodded, relief and fear mixed in his expression. Yes, but we need to be careful. One wrong move and they'll retaliate. The door rattled again, harder this time, splintering a few wooden slats. My heart jumped. The reality of the danger hit me like a punch. I swallowed hard. We can't wait here. We need to move. The safe place my dad left. His office downtown. There are backup documents, keys, and security cameras. That's our next stop. Ethan nodded. Good. Let's go. We grabbed our things, staying low and moving quickly. The storage unit's metal door creaked as we slid it open, careful not to make noise. Outside, the alley was dark. Shadows stretched across the walls, hiding us, but we could sense movement. Figures watching, following. I felt my pulse hammer in my ears. But this time I didn't feel fear. I felt determination. We moved fast, winding through side streets, ducking behind parked cars. Every time I looked over my shoulder, I saw a figure in the shadows, silent, waiting, watching. The weight of the documents in my hands felt like a sword now, proof that I had power, even against those who had kept me in the dark for years. Finally, we reached Daniel's car. The engine started silently, and we merged into the city streets. The shadows didn't follow immediately, but I knew they were out there, watching, waiting for a chance to strike. Daniel, tell me again, where exactly is this office? I asked, gripping the folder. Downtown, near the waterfront, he said. It's one of my dad's old offices. Abandoned for years but secure. Cameras, files, everything. We can plan from there. The drive was tense, silence stretching over us like a heavy blanket. I kept checking my phone, half expecting another threatening message. But there was nothing yet. When we arrived at the office, I felt a flicker of hope. The building was old but sturdy. Daniel used a set of keys hidden under a loose brick to unlock the back door. Inside it was dusty, dimly lit, but secure. Ethan set the documents on a large wooden table. We need to start recording everything. Evidence, transactions, communication. We build the case so no one can stop us. Daniel nodded, pulling out old folders, keys, and ledgers. These contain everything. Proof of who's been using the property and bank account illegally. I took a deep breath, scanning the room. For the first time in my life I felt powerful. My family had tried to erase me, hide me, make me small. But here I was, armed with proof, surrounded by people who truly cared about me, ready to reclaim what was mine. We worked quickly, documenting every ledger, every file, every digital record. Hours passed. The air was tense but purposeful. Every click of the camera, every photo of a document, every note taken was a step toward justice. Then my phone buzzed. Froze. Ethan grabbed it first. A new message flashed on the screen. You've started something you can't finish. Leave the office or lose everything, and her. I swallowed hard, looking at Daniel and Ethan. The word her made my stomach twist. Whoever was sending these messages wasn't just after me. They were threatening someone else. Ethan's jaw tightened. They know we're here. They're escalating. But we're ready for them. We have the evidence. I nodded, feeling a surge of courage. We finish this. Tonight. No running. No hiding. No fear. We continued our work, compiling files, taking photos, recording evidence. Each moment made the threat feel closer, realer, but also made me stronger. The years of exclusion, the stolen inheritance, the lies. All of it fueled a fire inside me. Then the office lights flickered. A loud crash echoed from the front of the building. Someone was trying to break in. Ethan grabbed my arm. They're here. Daniel's face went pale. I warned you. They're professionals. They won't stop until they get the documents. We moved quickly to the back room, locking the heavy metal door behind us. I felt my heart race, adrenaline pumping through my veins. "This is it," I whispered. "We fight. We show them who I really am." Suddenly, the door rattled violently. The wall shuddered as if someone was trying to force it open. The shadowy figures outside were stronger, more determined than ever. Ethan checked the security cameras Daniel had set up. "They're breaking in," he said quietly. "We have minutes. Maybe less." I glanced at the folder in my hands. Every page, every ledger, every document screamed one truth. My family's secrets could no longer remain hidden. The inheritance, the property, the account, all belonged to me. And tonight I would reclaim it no matter the cost. Daniel looked at me, fear and guilt mixed in his eyes. "Ava, sorry. I didn't protect you. I didn't protect them. But we can fix this. We can expose everything." He nodded. "Then let's do it. No holding back. No regrets." We spread the documents across the table, connecting the dots, taking photos, recording videos of everything. Each click, each flash of light from the camera felt like a strike against years of lies and betrayal. And then, the front door burst open. Two figures stormed in, masked, strong, moving with precision. I froze, but Ethan pushed me behind him, holding the folder like a shield. "Hands off," he shouted, his voice echoing through the empty office. The taller figure lunged toward the table. Papers scattered everywhere. Daniel tried to hold them back. I felt my chest tighten, fear surging, but then I remembered something important. Years of being underestimated, ignored, and silenced had taught me one thing. I was smarter than they thought. I grabbed my phone and hit record, pointing it at the masked intruders. "You're under surveillance," I shouted. "Everything you're doing is being recorded. The police will see this." One of them froze, a flicker of hesitation. That was all I needed. Then shoved them back. "Go. Now." The intruders retreated momentarily, giving us a few precious seconds. I grabbed the USB drive Ethan had saved earlier, the folder of deeds and bank statements, and locked it in my bag. Daniel caught his breath. That was too close. "They'll be back." I looked around the office, adrenaline coursing through me. "Let them come. We have everything we need. We're not hiding anymore. They can't stop the truth." Ethan placed a hand on my shoulder. "You're ready for this, Ava. You've always been ready. You just didn't know it yet." And in that moment I felt it. The fire inside me, the clarity, the courage that had been buried for decades. I wasn't the forgotten child anymore. I wasn't powerless. I was Ava Carter, owner of the beach property, owner of the account, owner of my life. The intruders paused at the doorway again, ready to strike. I swallowed hard, gripping the USB drive. "Come on," I whispered. "Let's finish this." Ethan nodded. Daniel took a deep breath. Together we faced them. And in that moment everything changed. The fight for what was mine had begun.